morning, everyone. So today we are again here at the College Dunia's Thought on Education program. So today I would like to welcome Dr. Bharat Bhushan Joshi sir. He's a ex-DRDO scientist having rich professional experience of 35 years, in which 25 years is in an R&D sector and 10 years in academic experience he has. He worked as a scientist and group director at Armament Research and Development Establishment, Pune, Ministry of Defense to 2007. Afterward, he was a consultant for defense PSUs and director of operation, production, system design, and strategic business development for defense industry till 2009. He's BE in Electrical Electronics Engineering from BITS Pilani, Master of Engineering in Guided Missiles and Doctorate in MEMS Technologies from University of Pune. He also has a Diploma in Business Development, Diploma in General Language from University of Pune, Master of Management from Science degree with specialization in France. Right now, he's a principal at one of the greatest institutions in Maharashtra for engineering, which is Cummins Engineering College of Engineering for Women. So it is a very proud moment for us to welcome Dr. Bharat Bhushan Joshi sir for this interview. So sir, welcome to this interview.
Good morning, namaskar.
Namaskar sir. So sir, I would like to start this. So you have a very wide experience in research and development. So my first question is based on that you have extensive R&D experience. How was your experience being useful in the education sector?
Okay. Most of my experience, as you told in my introduction, is in R&D, and that is into defense R&D.
Yes.
So when I worked for defense R&D, it was a totally different kind of an experience because there, we are working on weapon systems which are supposed to be working in a very hostile environment, but at the same time, the best is expected from those weapon systems. So when you work on such kind of designs, it gives you a totally different angle of thinking. And that kind of creative thinking or out-of-box thinking, which I inculcated during my R&D experience, is very much useful for today's academics because as you know that in National Education Policy 2020, it has been the main focus that the education should be more towards the creativity of the students, more on the design thinking. And well, that is what is going to be helpful for me. And I had been doing this for the last 10 years, different kinds of experiments. Probably we will talk about it during this interview.
Well said, sir, because if you are working in defense sector, then you need to be creative and you need to think out of box. And it is and in that place you are working for your country and you are responsible for the security of your country. So well said, sir, you need to be creative. So now I'm coming back to my second question. Being the principal of Cummins College of Engineering for Women, what is your philosophy of leadership and how would you describe your leadership style?
See, as far as leadership is concerned, a leader is the one who listens more. Leader is the one who identifies that which of your colleague has got what kind of capacity to work and give him that kind of work. And, I had been following this kind of philosophy right when I was a leader at Defense R&D also, when I was a group director. There also I used to give the task to those people who can handle a particular kind of thing which they can. And the same thing I am following it here also because see, every person is different. And, every person will have some qualities which probably may not be the same for all. So what you have to do is you have to identify what is the best thing a person can do and give him the tasks accordingly. So my philosophy is First thing is that listen to everybody, take the inputs from everybody, and while giving the task, give the task as per the capacity and capability of a person.
So that's the great philosophy, and from now on, I will definitely implement that in my company also, in my establishment also. Now, sir, I'll come to my third question, which is a very important question because your college has been performing extraordinary in the placements. So my question is related to that. How does Cummins College of Engineering for Women prepares a student for the industry employment?
Okay. See, the very first requirement or the kind of cry that comes from the industry is that today's students are not employable. And this is what I try to understand, that what is the gap. And we always try to do the gap analysis. And what we do is that every time when we do the placement drive, we try to find out, normally, what happens, that you try to talk to the people or the students who have been placed. But what we do is that we rather go back to the students who couldn't get through. So the gap which is there with that particular student, that why she could not get through an interview, is the one to be applied for the next batch. And what we do in our college is that we try to train our students right from their uh, second year. A very specific training on aptitude and all those things are done. Then in the third year, we do a total employability enhancement program of 60 hours. And with this kind of two programs, one is the aptitude, cracking of aptitude test, and the second one is the employability enhancement. These two things, they prepare them for the interviews or the campuses which are going to happen in the seventh semester, that is the beginning of their fourth year. And that is really helpful to them. At the same time, what we do is that we try to arrange the peer-to-peer talk between the students who had been placed in the previous year with the next upcoming batch. So, the kind of understanding that is there between the peer-to-peer is much better than me and you kind of people trying to train the students to prepare themselves for the campus, because the way the perception these students have and the way they talk to each other are totally different. So these three things, they prepare our students for the industry employment. At the same time, when I said we do the gap analysis, what we do is that every semester, the beginning of every semester, it is a skill development program. It's a full 1 week program in which we identify the different kind of technologies, the emerging technologies which the student must know about. And for that, either our teachers, they themselves upgrade themselves beforehand, or we hire somebody from outside. And these 1 week trainings, they are given to the students so that they are prepared with the new kind of thing. For example, when IoT got introduced, so we immediately started conducting skill development in IoT for the third year students at the beginning of their seventh semester itself. And in that, later on, Python was the language which was introduced. So we again upgraded ourselves and started training students in Python, that is using Python for IoT, that is Internet of Things. So like this, this is the kind of thing which prepares the students over the period of 4 years. So it is a full 4 year program where our students are groomed to be industry ready.
And sir, definitely they are actually industry ready. The placements which your college is offering, it is, I think, best. It is better than VNIT Nagpur is offering. So of course, all the initiatives are working in a very good manner. Now, sir, I have heard many stories that your students have taken some initiative. they are becoming entrepreneurs. So my next question is diverted to that. How does Cummins College of Engineering for Women supports its student as their entrepreneur journey? Can you tell us about the initiative that the students has taken in this regard?
Well, before students take the initiative, I think it is the college which has to take the initiative because we need to tell them that what the entrepreneurship is about. And normally, if you see any new entrant coming into the college or their parents also, they're always asking what is the placement, which are the companies coming. So everybody is looking for placement. So what we tell the students is that entrepreneurship is also a kind of placement where you are placing yourself and then probably you are becoming an entrepreneur. You are instead of being a employment seeker, you are becoming an employment giver. So what is done in our college is that we train these students for various entrepreneurship related training programs for which we have first trained our 3 to 4 faculties, and those faculties they conduct almost 40 hours of program for the students. And in this particular thing, it is not that it is some kind of a program which is just theoretical, but it is having a lot of tasks involved in that. So with those small tasks, students they are actually grooming themselves towards entrepreneurship. Then there are certain competitions that are held. For example, there is even an event called as $1 event. Now, what does that $1 event? It is like you are given $1 or you are given 100 rupees, let's say, and then within 100 rupees you do some investment and do some business, and you must earn more than that. So it is like inculcating the entrepreneurship skills, the marketing skills, or the ideas that you can generate to utilize the kind of fund that you have, and the funds are limited, say 100 rupees only, not more than that. So these are the things which probably prepare them. So most of our students they have gone into entrepreneurship also, and basically engineers, when we prepare the engineers, they are actually the people who can think logically, because in engineering you learn the logical thinking, and that is what is helpful when you become an entrepreneur. So a few of our students have really opted for entrepreneurship. They've gone for some product design. They have even registered for some of the products that are now we are proposing them to MSME programs. And let me tell you that we are an authorized incubation center of MSME also, and where we can incubate the students. And for incubation, our idea is like this: that students can come, work, and they can use any of our facilities, right from internet to any of the labs or anything like that, prepare their prototype, and then take it to the market. So these are the ideas. And with these ideas, students really feel at ease when they want to opt for entrepreneurship.
So that's the most insightful answer I have heard for this question. Now the thing is that in this country, what we need employment givers. So what is happening right now? If 100 students are there in a class, 100 out of 100 are looking for job opportunities, but no one is ready to give that opportunities to those students. So that is the great initiative you are taking, sir, and I feel really very proud to talking to you that you are taking such a great initiatives for your students. Now, sir, now I want to move to my next question. So you have a very vast and rich experience in R&D. Then when you first arrived at this institution, what was your vision for the institute and how it evolved? And how far along in implementing the vision are you?
I actually worked at Pune when I was working with the Defense R&D, and Nagpur is my birthplace. I did my schooling here, and I have love for Nagpur. So when I got an opportunity to come to this college at Nagpur, I thought that I should do something for this place this Vidarbha area, and that was my intention to come back to that too. And here when I came first with that R&D background, I had to really introduce certain new things in the academics that we were doing to ensure that to prepare the students for not only the students but also the teachers for the new ideas that I was trying to implement. And with these kinds of things, I could change the mindset of the people also, those who are working with. I'm really thankful to my faculty that they agreed to my ideas and implemented them and followed them to see to it that they also grow in a way in a different manner. For example, let me tell you, in one of the subjects of design kind of subjects, uh, I told my faculty that when we want to, let's say, teach the microprocessors to the students, why not we teach them in a different way? For example, the very first thing is that you should first talk about the system in general. Okay, so you first consider there is some microprocessor or microcontroller based system. You talk about that system. So you see what are the features in that particular system, and then one by one you go inside to implement each and every feature. What is it that is required? Is it some kind of a sensor that is required? It is some kind of an augmentation of memory is required. It is some kind of a port that is required. And then you go on teaching those small things. So with that, what happens? Students get an idea about the application. So the teaching learning process is more application oriented. And later on, after 2 3 years, every year I keep thinking of some new things, which can be done. I implemented another thing called as activity based learning. So in activity based learning, I told my teachers that let us take lab to the classroom. It is not that you take the class to the lab or the students to the lab, but take the lab to the classroom. So the idea in this activity based learning was like this, that we do the teaching for hardly 20 25 minutes in a class of 50 minutes, and the rest of the time is to be used for doing some activity. Just to give you an example of this, what was done was that suppose you are teaching the heat conduction. Okay, so in a mechanical engineering class for heat transfer, you are teaching the heat conduction. So what teacher does is teacher carries some kind of candles and different materials. Now the material could be brass, steel, iron, something, some rods, and then you heat one end, and then you feel that how much time it has taken to reach the heat to the other end. So this experience gives them like which metal is good at conductivity and which material, like if you use ebonite or wood, it doesn't really heat at the other end. So what exactly is the thing? Now, like this, even when the online teaching was going on, teachers used to tell them, use your things inside your house to experiment a particular thing. And this activity based learning is something, which is different. And to this, we added another thing was experiential learning. In the experiential learning, what is being done is that you take a machine, you disassemble it. You means students themselves do it. And while disassembling, you try to see to it that how you are doing, which is the nut bolt that you are removing, which is the kind of assembly you are removing. You learn that, clean it up, and again assemble. So with this, students come to know what was inside the machine. They also know how it was assembled and how it is to be repaired. So this experiential learning is another thing which we do. One more thing which we do is some sort of group learning. So in group learning, what happens is that suppose students are going to workshop. So inside the workshop, when they are sitting, students are told to explore a particular machine. Let's say there is a lathe machine in the workshop. So let them explore for half an hour. ये इसका स्पिंडल कैसे है, ये टूल कैसे लगाते हैं, how it is switched on, how it moves, what are the safety matters and all these things. And then once the exploration is done, students would sit in a circle and each student to ask one question which is to be answered by the another student only. And teacher is sitting behind, and teacher and the instructors, and they are trying to correct them if the answer is wrong. Okay, so this is a kind of a group learning, which is another thing which we introduce, and it is very helpful in our subjects like workshop and all those things. So with this different things, we could really bring in a change. It could create the interest in the students about learning of your subject, and we could also create some sort of an creativity inside them because they have to do their own thinking. See, as a child, you must be knowing that child is so inquisitive, and children are asking you so many questions. Many times they ask you some questions for which probably you cannot answer. And as your age goes up, probably you stop asking questions because probably you are told, "ये ऐसा है," so you accept it and you don't question it. "ये ऐसा क्यों है?" So what we try to do, students, is that they should ask questions. ये ऐसा क्यों है? और वो क्यों है उसका आंसर आइदर उन्होंने खुद ढूंढना है या हमने बताना है. And this is how the conceptual learning, experiential learning is done.
So that's the it gives me memories from my college time. That when we used to learn about microprocessors and when we used to learn about machines, no one has told us that what are the application of these machines, as you have rightly said. That we need to tell students that why we are studying this, what is the future of this technology, and where you need to apply it. So that's the greatest one. Second thing is that I really want to come to your workshop once and experience that ambience, because now, as you told us, that the students are interacting with each other. Because usually in my when I was doing my degree, classes are not very interactive. Teacher used to tell us that these are the things you need to do, and we blindly follow that. But I want to be a part of such a group where the students are asking questions and the students are also and the students are answering that. So that is the greatest part we had. I mean, I want to love to come to your college and learn about it and see this.
Most welcome. Do it.
Definitely. Now, sir, I'll come to my next question. So, what do you like people to know about Cummins College of Engineering for Women that they may not know, sir?
Okay, so this is done by a Sanstha which is running only education or empowerment of women. That is the very first thing. And our Sanstha is actually run by the people who are coming from either the social engineering or the actual engineering. And it is different because other sanस्थas, most of them are run by politicians. So here there is no politician at all. That is the difference. The second thing is that when we have education only for women, it is very safe, secured campus, and this also gives them a chance to become their leaders of tomorrow. Now, many times, when the parents come to our college, they fall in love with the very serene kind of campus of 23 acres. And the only thing, the student is a little uneasy because she says, "Arey, ye to sirf ladkiyon ka college hai. I want to go to co-ed." So that is a generation kind of gap. And the parents, they say that, no, this is good. आपके लिए अच्छा रहेगा, बिकॉज दे उनको चिंता नहीं रहती फिर ये सिर्फ लड़के के कॉलेज में ज़्यादा परेशानी नहीं रहेगी, सेफ रहेगा. So then when they come to me and the uneasy student is sitting in front of me, I first ask them one question like, okay, you must have studied in a co-ed school, and maybe in your 11th and 12th standard there must have been some events. Now tell me, like, in how many events you took the lead? That you were the leader. You organized, let's say, science exhibition, or you organized a particular event.
Cultural event.
So students used to say, no, 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 boys used to be there and we used to support them. So I said, that is the difference. So here, they're all girls, so you have to take the lead. तो हमारे यहाँ पे जब even that drama competition is there, there is one drama competition at state level, and it is called as Purushottam Karandap, in which we really got good prizes in last 4-5 years, and last year it was we were the toppers also. So when this thing is being done, what happens is that the students, when they prepare their stage, they have to prepare. So maybe they have to go up and put the lamp or adjust the mic. They themselves have to do it. There is no boy, there's nobody to do it, because that is the condition of that particular setup of that competition. So like this, even in my college, when there is cultural festival called Ananya that is being done. So when this is being organized, it is all organized by students. They do go out, do the total campaign, getting the entries, getting the sponsorship, going and talking to the people, getting the sponsorship in the form of either vouchers or money. So this full-fledged learning is there for them, and that gives them a totally different edge. And this is what I would like to tell about the Cummins College of Engineering, which is different. One more thing about the name that we have, Cummins, because Cummins India Foundation has generously supported this, and not only in the beginning to build the infrastructure, but even now every year they are giving me amount of almost CSR funds of almost 40 lakhs, which I utilize for development of students and for infrastructure build-up. And this is something different about Cummins.
So, sir, that was my question. I wanted to ask you in the last that, sir, how, if only girls are there, then how the development is going on. But you said really very right. And, in our colleges, if there is an event, then boys will take all the muscle work and girls will do the creative stuff. Now, that is really good, because if their girls are only there, then they are the one who will take charge of each and everything, and they can have a complete, development in the college, which is required in their life. So that's the great reason to come to Cummins, I think. So, sir, now I move to my next question. So, so far in this interview, I come to know about the many greatest strengths of Cummins. But I wanted to ask you, what do you see as the institute's greatest strength? So, yes.
The greatest strength today is my management, because the kind of experienced people we have on the management is something, which is different from the others. And the second good strength is my faculty. So all faculty are really very sincere, dedicated. And the third good strength is the support that is coming from industry. And this support from industry is something, which is helping me to prepare my infrastructure and my students from various new emerging technologies. For example, we have a MOU with Zensar. So they are conducting some skill development programs for our electronics, telecommunication, and computer engineering students. Shortly, I'm going to sign an MOU with another tech company, a big tech company, and I will not disclose the name right now because we have not signed it. And this tech company is going to support our students for emerging technologies like IoT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and mechatronics. So this is the kind of thing that we have today.
That's really great, sir. So now I move to my next question, because many students will do this interview on YouTube. So my next question will be, any suggestions you would like to give to the current youth and the aspiring students?
First thing is that you should have faith in the samstha. That is, you should first choose that which samstha's engineering college you want to go for. Prior to that, there are many career options. So one can become an architect, one can become a medical professional. But I would suggest that you should become an engineer because an engineering is a subject which gives you the logical thinking. And this logical thinking is the one which will be useful to you throughout your life. And in engineering, you learn the lifelong skills. So choose engineering. That is what I would like to tell the youth. The second thing is that choose a proper sanstha. So a sanstha like Maharshi Karve Sri Shikshan Sanstha, which is giving the education to these girl students right from KG to PG. So third thing is that once you have chosen the college, we have the core engineering branches. So my suggestion to the today's youth would be that there are some colleges which are offering you some direct courses in the emerging technology. For example, BTech in artificial intelligence or BTech in aerospace engineering. My suggestion to the youth would be that do not jump for the specialization at your undergraduation because BTech is your undergraduation, and in this you should learn the basic engineering. During that particular thing, when the major is your basic engineering, you can always orient yourself to any of these specific emerging technologies like AI, ML, IoT, mechatronics, or robotics. But when you do that, that is like a icing on the cake, and that is how you should take it, because there is another PG for you available for you wherein you can really concentrate on those specializations. But at the same time, when you're doing this undergraduation, suppose you take BTech in mechanical engineering. Now with that, you can also switch over to mechatronics or robotics by doing certain specific courses of which are there for the electives which are available for you. Second thing is that the electronics telecommunication branch, which is one of the best in Nagpur University, because now the syllabus has changed and I happen to be on the board of studies of that, and there, we have introduced so many new things, so many open electives. So it is rather an electronics telecomputing branch where you have all the skills of electronics telecommunication. At the same time, you have the skills of coding and computing. So this gives you an edge. So do not run for the branch which is very popular one, which gives you a lot of jobs like computer engineering, though it is one of the best branches which we have. And we are the only second college in Nagpur University which offers computer engineering. The rest of them offer computer science and engineering or computer technology. But we offer computer engineering. So this is something different, which is more towards the hardware learning. So what we have is these three best core branches. Choose the branches like mechanical and electronics telecommunication as your first preference, because once you learn about these subjects, you can always go into IT sector also, because IT sector is open for you after doing these branches also. So it gives you opportunities that in double the number, because you can also go into core engineering, you can also go into IT. Like the kind of placements that we have here with us are of both core engineering and IT sector also. So when we are into the core engineering, the companies like Caterpillar and MG Motors, they are coming and picking up our students. Cummins is coming and picking up our students, or Eaton is coming. So they are picking up our electronic students. So apart from that, these students also have offer in Wipro, Infosys, and other Citibank, and so many other things. And I'm really proud to tell all of you that I don't think there is any other college which has given so many opportunities, even during pandemic of last year. where we give nearly 35 campus opportunities to our students, and we have good placement in all core engineering, 100% core engineering. And this year also, in the month of September and October, we have given more than 25 opportunities to our students. Most of them are dream companies offering jobs from more than 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs. And today we have some 10 students with an average package of 11 lakhs. And just yesterday, the mass recruiting company DXC has picked up over 25 students with a package of 4 lakhs. So, well, Cummins is ready to welcome you. Do come to Cummins. Do give your first choice to Cummins, and we will give you what you want. That is what I would like to tell to the youth of today. Thank you.
Yeah, sir, definitely. I can definitely assure that the Cummins will provide them their dream job based on the placements you are having. Now, sir, I'll move to my next question as we have talked about emerging technologies. What are some plans for training students in emerging technologies at Cummins College of Engineering for Women?
Here we have already introduced certain electives in the electronics telecommunication branch where the emerging technology is being covered. And we are also trying to plan certain skill development courses with the help of the industry. For example, I just now told you that Zensar is conducting some skill development programs. That is in the advanced Java and all those things. And the another MOU which I'm going to sign with another tech company, it is going to prepare our students, our faculty also, and then students also in the field of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and IoT. So these are the things which are available for the students of Cummins, all of them. There is no restriction about that, and almost is free of cost to them. The second thing is that with this kind of training that is happening, we also try to ensure that the projects that they do are using this kind of emerging technology. So most of our projects, they come from the industry's problem statements, and where we try to use this AI ML kind of thing. So it gives them the idea about using this technology in their practical work, the project work. So this way we are going to prepare our students.
So that's really very great. And now, sir, I'll move to my last question. So because during this pandemic, parents as well as the students are very uncertain about the future if third wave is coming or not. And the students who will take admission in the college, they have also doubts. So my last question will be, this COVID-19 has forced institutions across India and the world indeed to suspend physical classroom and shift to the online classes. So how is the Cummins College of Engineering for Women coping up in the COVID times?
Well, that's a very nice question as far as the today's condition is concerned. Well, now last year in 2020 March, when the lockdown was announced, thanks to our advanced planning, we were I think the only college which had our own exam portal already designed much earlier to pandemic, because we never knew such kind of thing would happen. Nobody knew, but we have our own exam portal through which we can conduct the tests for the students. And let me tell you, last year when the lockdown was announced, we immediately switched over to the online platforms. Various online platforms were used by our faculty. The popular ones are the Google Classroom and Zoom, and others were also there where teachers explored that whatever is comfortable for the students and whatever is not. So the very first thing that we did was to immediately switch over to the online platforms. At the same time, when we were trying to find out that there is a digital divide and some students are not able to attend the classes because they don't have probably the internet connectivity or they don't have a smartphone. So we took a drive and we found out who are these students, and with the help of one of the NGOs here, we donated nearly 30, 40 uh, 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 tablets to them. And with this, they now have a good connectivity for the classes. The second thing is that when the classes are not happening in a physical mode, we must keep the creativity of the students sharp, and we must keep them engaged. So it's not me, but one of the parents other day was mentioning that, sir, you have kept our students busy all throughout. They keep doing something or the other. There is some competition or the other happening online, and my daughter is so enjoying, even if there is no physical classes happening. Most of the competitions are being held online, and she's really enjoying it. So this is what we do. The second thing about teaching learning process is that obviously everybody has adopted, even this faculty have adopted this new thing. At the same time, we got took the help of the virtual labs which are prepared by all the IITs, and with those virtual labs, students can really perform their practicals with a lot of variations and all those things. So physically, they may not be handling the components or the equipment, but at least they know how to use a particular thing, or they can learn the concept out of it. And that is how the virtual labs were used wherever possible, wherever they were available through this thing. Apart from this, what we did that we have told our students, mostly the final year students, electronics and mechanical, that now the pandemic situation is almost over, kind of thing. Please do come to the college, do your practicals, do your प्रोजेक्ट वर्क. यू मस्ट बिल्ड समथिंग. आपने आपके हाथ काले करने हैं, आपके हाथों से कोई सर्किट बनाना है, ये करना ही है, because that is what is going to give you an edge over the other people. So don't worry, take care, follow all the COVID protocols, and we can do it. So that is the choice is always given to the students that they can come. So another thing which we did was that there were some people, some parents who were not able to pay the fees because of pandemic, because either they lost their jobs or lost their earnings. So we gave them the concessions, and we also gathered some more donations so that they should not feel the pinch for not having paid the fees. And let me tell you, not a single student has missed her learning or her next year's admission because they are not able to pay the fees. We have given them a good amount of scholarships, especially those who were pandemic affected. And those who were able to pay, they have paid their fees. So I'm really thankful to those parents. And with this kind of support from both the parents, the students, and my faculty and my management, we have managed very well in this pandemic situation. And this has really not stopped us. One more thing which I would like to add here is that even during pandemic, when the students were just sitting at home, we gave them some 3-4 problem statements, and they developed some of the apps. For example, one one group of students has developed the app for the bed management for a corporation. So in the second wave, there was a hell of a problem that people were moving from one hospital to another searching for a bed. So here there would be a centralized kind of thing, and students will be able to do that. Second thing, another our group of students had done is that now the admission process has to go on, but people are not able to visit the campus because of the pandemic situation. So how to show them our college? So our students, they developed a virtual visit kind of thing. You can visit our website and click on that virtual visit, and then it will take you through the corridors of our college. So you will get a feel that you are as if you are walking through the college corridor. And this is what like this. There were many other projects which we did. Because of paucity of time, I would not cover them here. But this is what we did and overcome the pandemic situation. Thank you.
Yes. So that's the really great initiative which you had taken, and it is reflecting in your placements, your management, your initiatives, where the students get the apps you have built up in this great pandemic. That was really very great, and so the students are even making apps for the bed availability as well. So I can understand that the values and the ethics a student have in your college. And I want to thank you to have this interview with us. Sir. This is a very insightful interview in which we have learned so much about Cummins and so much about you. And I feel fortunate for the students who had taken admission in Cummins and who will take admission in Cummins. So thank you so much, sir, for your time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Saurabh, for your nice words. And your suggestions also would be most welcome. And we are there to empower the women of India, of Vidarbha. So thank you for all your support from College Dunia. Thank you.